is Rachel, and today I'm going to be giving you a few of my recommendations about books revolving around schools or remind me of going back to school, since at this point, everybody is pretty much back to school. I know I have been back for about a month now, and we're just full steam ahead into the year. So here we go. First up is one that I feel like everybody would think of, and that is the Harry Potter series. It literally revolves around a school, and everybody who's read that wants to go to Hogwarts. So I feel like that's the number one recommendation of back to schoolness. Every fall, I always think about how much fun it would be to get on the train and go to Hogwarts for the school year. So definitely up there on my recommendations for going back to school picks. Also, in kind of like an adult version, a little bit, is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It features a student going to a magical school that's kind of like a college. In this series, though, the books are very big, and it doesn't feel like it's just not as much time dedicated to the actual school part. So just heads up on that. It's not going to be an exact version of Harry Potter, just in an older setting, but it is kind of Harry Potter-ish. And if you like the magical school setting, you might want to try that out. Also, one that is a little bit hard-hitting, if you will, is Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. I love this book. They recently just came out with a graphic novel version of it, which I was afraid was going to be kind of like less impactful, but somehow it made it even more emotional. And I would highly recommend this. This very much involves a school setting, especially the transition from middle school to high school, and there is a really deep situation that's happening, and you realize that a young girl has been sexually assaulted. And so trigger warning for that, but it is amazing. I highly suggest you check it out if you have not yet. Fantastic read. Also, I'd like to recommend the Georgia Nicolson series. These are all presented as diaries of this young British girl, and they are hilarious and ridiculous and so much fun. They're all presented as diaries, so they go super fast. There's 10 in the series. They all have silly names, and Georgia gets herself into so much trouble. It is so much fun. It's so much fun to go to school with them. It's kind of neat to see a little bit of an insight into like the British school system, because it's a little bit different from the American system. So it's interesting to see, and it's so funny to watch her and her friends and all the shenanigans they get into. So if you want a light read, I would highly suggest the Georgia Nicolson series. The first book is called Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging. Next up is a book series that I haven't read in so long. I need to revisit it. I really, really enjoyed the series. I just need more time. I need to go back and revisit it. And that is the Jessica Darling series by Megan McCafferty. The first book is called Sloppy Firsts, and this just follows the progression of Jessica Darling through, I think it starts in middle school again, I think probably like 8th grade, and we follow her in all the 5 books up through her career after college, and her relationships with her friends and with the main crush of the book. And I just found these so relatable, so charming, that I could read these while I was the age of the character. It was just so much fun. It felt like these were my friends at school. So I really, really liked it. I would highly recommend it. It's got a little bit of everything in it. It's not going to be too super sad, but it's not like, really cliche romance, I don't think. It's kind of a good in between, and I think it's just super realistic to the way things are, especially in high school and in college, and I highly recommend it. Again, the first book is called Sloppy First. Next is one that I kind of stumbled upon. The librarian that worked in my school district before me obviously had purchased it, because I did not, but I picked it up because I was totally intrigued by the title and appalled by the cover, and that is Middle School is Worse Than Meatloaf. And it's such a strange looking book by Jennifer L. Home. This is kind of like a graphic novel. It's basically a story told through items. They aren't like, it's just like an image of all these things put together, and like letters and different things like that are found like maybe on a desk or in her locker. and it all comes together to tell a story, and it was so interesting. It was so interesting that I immediately went out and found the second book, and I've been recommending it since. It's just such an interesting way to tell a story, and again, the backdrop is about going back to school. Middle school is worse than Meatloaf, obviously, and the second one had a silly name as well, and that was 8th Grade is Making Me Sick, and again, it's so cool. Her whole life is told just in kind of like stuff laid out, and you get little notes and letters that kind of give you a little bit of text to understand all the items, but it all works together. It's very strange, very unique, but very, very interesting, very fast to read as well. Next up, I'm going to recommend a comic series by Jarrett J. Krasowska. I never can say his name right. It's called Lunch Lady. There are 10 of them, I believe, and they are hilarious. I have read them all more than once. They're just so funny. They're centered around, I believe it's 3 kids. It's either 3 or 4, and I think it's just 3 kids that kind of make this like lunch group. They kind of hang out together. I believe this is set probably in like an elementary school, and they kind of befriend the lunch lady, who turns out to be a superhero in her free time. And in every book, she is fighting somebody else in the school that is trying to take down the school and make it a little bit worse for the students. So like in the first one, it's Lunch Lady and the Cyborg Substitute. So the substitute is ruining the school for the kids, so the Lunch Lady comes in with her handy assistant and all their lunch lab tools and saves the day with the help of the lunch bunch. And it is just, they're so cute and so funny, and the illustrations and the color palette are just very simple and easy to follow, easy to take in. They're hilarious, and I very, very much enjoyed them. Highly, highly recommend them. Next up is another graphic novel, this one a little bit darker, and that is My Friend Dahmer by Durf Backdurf, and this was recently made into a movie. Excellent book-to-movie adaptation, and this is obviously set in a school. It is a kind of a graphic memoir of the author's perspective of going to school with Jeffrey Dahmer, and if that doesn't intrigue you, I don't know what will. But it gives you, I mean, it gives you another perspective on somebody that you've heard these horrible things about. Like, everybody knows who Jeffrey Dahmer is. You know what he did. You know it's horrible and inexcusable, but it's also very interesting to see this different perspective of such a monster, I guess. But I really, really enjoyed it. It's really dark, and it's I don't know, it's impactful, definitely. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the movie version as well, so I would recommend both. Again, the school version of Jeffrey Dahmer, if you will. Next up is From Twinkle with Love by Sandhya Menon. I loved this book. It is a school romance, contemporary, and it's fantastic. This book follows our main character, who is working with a friend to make this movie recreation of Dracula, and she's obsessed with female directors. It's very girl power, and of course there's some romantic confusion going on, some romantic drama, and I was just here for all of it. I loved it. I love the characters. I love the growth too, because while I felt like some of the characters were kind of angsty, they did have growth by the end, which I feel like you can take the angst if it's all leading somewhere better. But if it's just angst all the way through, it's a little hard to take. But there is growth, so hang in there with them. I think you'll love those characters and their adventure through their school year. Next up is Rebel Belle by Rachel Hawkins. This is like a Buffy the Vampire in a Southern Belle situation, and a lot of these kick-ass scenes take place in the school, and they revolve around this girl trying to be both like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer-esque type person as well as a student, just like the series was. If you like Buffy, you're gonna like this book. It was fun and fast-paced and action-packed, and it's got a little bit of a romance in it too, so it just covers all the bases. It was a lot of fun. Next up is To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I feel like I don't need to say that much about this one because you're probably already reading it and watching the Netflix show, but it is a kind of angsty teen rom-com set in a high school where our main character has written letters to get over her previous crushes, and then suddenly all the letters accidentally get mailed out to all of these boys. Oh my goodness. That is just, it gives me chills, the thought of that. Even now, thinking about letters that I wrote when I was in high school going out to the people I wrote them about, that's just horrifying. But the ensuing drama is very fun to read, and I think you will enjoy this one. I am super excited that my high school book club is going to be reading this month. I've read it a couple years ago, but I didn't read the other 2 books, so I'm hoping just to marathon all 3 this month, and then watch the show. I refuse to watch the show until I've reread them, because I know what happens, so I guess that's not spoilery, but I just like to read the books first, so that's the plan. And then last but not least is the Raven Cycle series by Maggie Stiefvater. This centers around 4 boys from a private school that our main character Blue refers to as the Raven Boys, and this kind of ragtag team teams up to work together to try to find a long-buried king to get wishes that they need. I feel like I'm selling it really short. Don't listen to my explanation. Just go read it. You're gonna love it. It's fantastic writing. I love that the school is kind of in the backdrop to make you remember these kids are high school kids. I feel like a lot of times, especially in fantastical books, there's no reference to them being actual teenagers. Like, they tell you they're teenagers, but there's no school behind it, there's no parents involved, and at least we do get to see a little bit of that in this book. And I love this series. It's one of my favorite series ever, so definitely go check it out. The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. And there you have it, some of my top recommendations about books featuring school or characters going back to school. I hope these get you in the mood for fall, back to school things. I know I'm definitely in that mode right now. I probably don't need to be reading any of these to get in the mode. I'm already there. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon with another video. Bye for now.